and welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca, and for today's video we're going to be talking about something that I don't think I've ever really covered on this channel, but I figured we would do it today because it is so related to living a more sustainable and intentional life, and that is doing a digital declutter. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I go about doing one, my whole process, and all the steps I take, so if you want to learn how to do that, then just keep on watching. So real quick, in case you don't know, a digital declutter is basically exactly what it sounds like. It is decluttering your digital space. So the same way we would do this with our physical spaces, you know, taking the time to go through our things, get rid of things, tidy and organize, we can do all of that with our digital spaces as well. And I think it's a really important thing to do and keep up with, especially as we live in a world where we are relying on technology more and more. We're spending more time on our phones and laptops than ever. So making sure that that is a really safe and just nice space to be in, I think is so important. It can really help us to live more mindfully and just not be bombarded with so many different things if we take the time to do a declutter. And when you get everything nice and organized, it can also save you a lot of time and stress because you'll know where everything is. You won't have to spend forever searching for those really important things. So there's just so many reasons to take the time and do a digital declutter, and as if you needed another one, it is also a really eco-friendly thing to do because if you don't know, even when we store things up in the cloud, it's not, of course, just floating around in thin air. All of that is stored physically somewhere, and those physical databases require land, energy, and other resources. So if we can minimize how much stuff we're storing in the cloud, we can also minimize our environmental impact in that way. And the reason I mention this, you might know some of this already, but I think it's important to remind yourself of it before you start your decluttering session. And this is actually my first tip, is to think about the reason why you are taking the time to do this, because it can be a quite time-consuming activity, but if you remember why you're doing it, that's going to give you the motivation to actually sit down, do it, and finish it. My second step or tip is to also make the process as enjoyable as possible. So you might need to break up your decluttering into a couple of different sessions over a few different days. That way you're not doing this for 3, 4, 5 hours. Maybe you can do it for just 30 minutes or an hour a day. I think that is just a much more manageable way to do it. And while you're at it for that power work session, do all the things that you find enjoyable while you're working. So you can put on some music in the background, maybe you light a nice candle, maybe you make yourself a nice coffee or tea, and then once you get your environment ready, you sit down and you're ready to work. And of course what you're doing still probably isn't going to be that fun, but at least the whole atmosphere of it is a bit more enjoyable. So step 3 is of course to start your digital declutter, and I'm going to break this down a little bit further. So personally, I usually like to start with my emails. This tends to be one of the biggest tasks, so I like to get it out of the way. I do both my personal email and my school email in basically the same way. And what I like to start by doing is searching up things that I know I get a lot of emails from and that I know can be deleted. So a good example of this would be Poshmark. I get so many emails from them when items drop in price or just whenever they have different promotions going on, and usually those things have kind of expired. They're not really relevant anymore, so I just search up Poshmark, select all, and just delete it all. I do this with other things as well, and this just really helps me to weed out those big things that I know I don't need to spend a lot of time looking at, so that I can actually devote my brain power to looking at emails that might require me to actually look at them to decide if they need to be kept or deleted. Now while I'm doing this, it is also great to just go ahead and unsubscribe from anything you don't need. You're already doing the declutter, so you might as well just take a few extra seconds to unsubscribe, and this is going to make the process of decluttering in the future a lot easier and simpler. And so then of course, once I get all those emails cleared out, put in the trash, I am left with just the important things, and I'll take some of those and put them into folders. I really like to do this for really important things. So for example, I have an apartment folder, so anything regarding my rent, my bills, my lease, anything like that goes into my apartment folder, because that is stuff that I need to keep and that I need to be able to reference easily. So after my emails, personally, I like to move on to my digital workspaces. So this would be things like my Google Drive, my Canva, as well as iMovie. And usually these kinds of things I'm able to keep up with pretty well, but I just like to go in again and make sure everything is sorted into the correct folders, go ahead and back up any old videos onto my hard drive so I can delete them off of iMovie, free up my storage space. And again, this is just going to make my future life so much easier because then I can find all the things I need for schoolwork, content creation, and all of that good stuff. Personally, next I like to move on to my photos. This is another pretty big one because I just take a lot of photos and I'm not very good about actually keeping up with them and like deleting them as I go. So I'll just sit down and scroll and just select a bunch of stuff and just delete it. I do use folders a little bit, mostly just for like recipes or some things I need to reference, so I'll sort some things into those folders, but for me, photos is really just a matter of going through and deleting all those photos I posted, all the selfies I don't even like, and just getting that all gone. And so after those kind of bigger categories, I really just move on to everything else. So I'll go through my browser tabs and close down the millions of tabs that I always have open. I'll also go through all my downloads and documents on my computer, delete anything I don't need once again. I'll go through the notes on my phone, delete anything, make sure those are all organized into folders, just all those extra little spaces, even just like the little like tabs you have open on your phone. I'll make sure those are all closed out, just really getting everything nice, clean, and simple. And in terms of keeping my browser clear, I'm going to be giving Identity a try. I'm not sponsored by them, but I've just heard a lot of good things about them and really want to try it out because I just have not been able to figure out a good solution for keeping my browser clear and minimal. So I'm going to be trying Identity. I'll let you all know how I like it. And then lastly, I also like to go through my social media and just, unfollow any accounts that are no longer sparking joy, just accounts that I don't really feel like following anymore. This is just something that I like to do regularly just to keep my social media feed as positive and as beneficial of a space as possible. So moving on to step 4, now that we have finally completed our big decluttering, and that is to do any updates. I just feel like this is a really good time. You got everything nice and clear. If you have any updates, might as well go ahead and do them. Personally, I actually cannot update my laptop because I am out of space, to the point that not even a declutter is going to help, but just because my laptop is old, so really I need to replace this step with getting a new laptop, but I do not have the funds for that right now. But if you are able to do updates, I think that this is a great time to just sit down and do it, because even when I was able to update my computer, I would just always procrastinate it, so don't be like me. Update your technology. And then finally, my last step, step number 5, is just to go in and actually physically clean your digital things. So taking a little bit of like all-purpose cleaner or like technology specific cleaner, a little cloth, and giving everything a wipe down, not just your phone and your computer, but also your chargers, your earbuds, all of those cords, your hard drives, thumb drives, literally everything. Just give it a good wipe down. We touch these things constantly, and I know most of us aren't cleaning them as often as we probably should, so at least do it when you are doing your big digital declutter. So that concludes my whole process, and if you're wondering how often I do this, I used to do this every 6 months, so usually in January and July I would sit down and do this, but I'm trying to move towards doing this quarterly. I just think that that'll make things easier and the whole process shorter, and also so I'm not starting to get stressed out towards that like 4th, 5th, 6th month since I've done it. I feel like if I can do this every 3 months, it'll just be better. So I do it in January and July, like I said, but I'm also going to be adding in April and I think that'd be October. So usually around when I have like spring and fall breaks, so that I actually have the time to sit down and do this whole thing. And finally, I also want to talk about a few things that I'm going to be doing so that hopefully my declutters won't be as overwhelming in the future. I already mentioned a couple, but just to recap, I'm going to be trying out Identity to hopefully keep my browser space clean, and I also want to try working into my night routine, maybe going through my photos, the tabs on my phone, and just cleaning those up a bit. But if you guys have any suggestions on how to kind of keep this to be a more regular practice, definitely leave me a comment down below because I'm always looking for new things to try. But that is really all I have to say for this video. So of course, if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe and turn on the notification bell down below. Doing those things really helps to support my channel so much. And another thing you can do if you want to support me is share this video with a friend, maybe on your Instagram stories, or maybe you just like hit the little share button and text it to your bestie. Whatever you want to do, it really does help me out so much. And of course, you can also go follow me over on Instagram. It's just at becca.gargiulo. It's always linked down below, and I post a lot of similar stuff over there, so I think you all will enjoy it. But that is all. I'm going to leave you here and maybe go ahead and get started on my declutter. Maybe not. We'll see, but I hope you all are having a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
You should have seen the way that you bloom. I think I saw your face in the moon. I promise I'll be